It's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Alaja Nima Akashat. Zuberi, how you doing?
Fine, I'm grateful. Looking forward to tomorrow.
What's happening tomorrow?
I'm off tomorrow. And I
You don't have to. I thought something interesting was happening.
I'm hoping to spend the day with my son. He's reminded me a lot of things this morning. He wakes up too early, open the gate for me, gives me like 6 hugs. Nice. Man is such a hug.
Such a sweetheart.
I've not hugged you. Wait, there's a hug for the car. Don't go, let me lock the gate. And then he gives me a hug. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow so I can just be enjoying the hug, sitting at home. And then bagging the rice. I have others to deal with.
Please bag my rice.
How are you doing, Tokwe?
I'm very good.
Are those your earrings you're hiding? Or what?
Yes, but the hair is not going to show, so I can't do without it. I'm grateful to God for life. Excited about my real estate promo. Many clients have complained about the fact that many of my clients are in diaspora, and there's always this complaint about the fact that Nigerian real estate space does not give permission for flexible payments, and that's because price changes so much. But we've been able to structure houses as well as land on flexible payments between 6 to 12 to 24 months. That's the Christmas promo that we're pushing in this season. Yeah.
Good. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm doing fine. I'm great and amazing.
Hair looks so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I had a banter and I forgot.
Forgotten the banter. Oh.
What happened to this palm oil?
Oh, you have your own now.
Exactly.
Where's my own?
See, I eat palm oil in my house, and palm oil is very important in my house. If you want to give, don't give me groundnut oil. Just give me palm oil. And Madam has been on my neck.
Me?
Yes.
On your neck?
Because we're trying to decide who got that
I saw
palm
you
oil.
drag my name inside that thing. I cannot remember being.
Can you like palm oil like that? My mother-in-law brings palm oil all the time.
Are you joking? I love it. It's very important in my household.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Me, I have banter.
Please, just
For the first time in my life,
what happened?
I'm going to see Mommy Gio face to face.
Oh,
I'm going to
that should
interview
be
her
exciting.
today. Yeah, I know it means nothing to you guys.
That should be
For me, a
exciting.
redeemer like me, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I'm
So
going to
what's
be
the
seeing.
event?
So it's for teenagers. We have this monthly program for teenagers. It's a directorate of teenagers in our strategic camp. And this year, the final one, inviting Mommy Gio to, and the theme is double portion from glory to glory, and your
you're
humble
going to
self. Yeah, I'm going to camp. Don't
You're
want to change it.
interviewing her.
Interviewing her.
Okay.
I'm moderating.
Oh, that should be so cool. You're
I
going
was
to ask her questions.
My husband said,
Can I give you some questions?
You have to
sir?
fast to the place. I said, honey, I got to drink coffee. I was telling me that this morning, Mariah, you have to fast. You have to.
Spiritual.
He said, this I am, but I'm praying too. I have prayed, and I'm trusting God for a
For
fantastic
the
outing.
Holy Ghost to speak through you.
I
No, it's not
prepared.
about that. It's you see, for me, when I present in church, and I always tell people that see it as glamorous, that you are conveying what God wants to push on. So when you come with that intention of I want to look good, I'm going to everybody will see I take picture of me with the pastor. No, you miss it. It's about conveying. People do that.
It's an
Yes.
spiritual
that's-
opportunity,
yes.
and I think it's a big deal.
I'm excited for
I'm
you.
pretty excited.
I'd like to give you a couple of questions.
Oh, sure. Well, there's a theme, Auntie. Double
It's for the
portion.
teenagers, right?
It's for the teenagers. Double portion is
You
the
just
theme.
like to hear a perspective on some stuff.
Certain
No,
things.
she
And
comes
give me,
and she could
write
be
me the
invited.
questions, and I'll see if it is right to convey that.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to now start with the punch. Senate grills CBN chiefs tomorrow as regards the cash withdrawal limits. Picture here, EFCC cautions forfeited cars, auctions forfeited cars once compliance with guidelines. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, gridlock worsens amid road work suspension. Police launch manhunt for woman who burnt parents. Contesting presidency will diminish me, says Jonathan. End power fraud, ICPC detains the Banj. Lawyer cries foul. Buhari failed, Leah Sharibu says activist. All marketers fault NNPCL, 34 days sufficiency claim. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, major headline.
Great.
So the Senate, Senator Philip Aduda of the PDP, who represents the FCT at the Senate, moved a motion for the House to debate the CBN policy on cash withdrawal limits And but he got a from the Senate president that
A pushback?
just eat small.
Off mic.
Not off mic. That it was too early. The Senate president thought it was too early for them to start to grill on this, but they have two appointees, reappointed deputy governors of the CBN that will be appearing before the House, and they can move that grilling to the two of them. One is Aisha Ahmed and Edward Adamu, who are reappointed deputy governors of the CBN. They also have an input on this, and so the Senate president just thinks, instead of us going back and forth, let's grill them on this, and that's it basically on the cash limit. But now the CBN yesterday declared on Wednesday that POS operators can get a waiver on the limits because their business requires draw of cash and all of that. So I think we're in line.
So EFCC has commenced the auctioning of 435 cars, which are all subject of final forfeitures orders in Lagos in line with the EFCC Establishment Act 2004. So these cars will be auctioned in 4 locations in Lagos. I think it's number 40 Bodilon, 15A Awolowo Road, 14 Cameron Road, and the CV Obalende Ikoyi Road. So there's 4 places. And there's so many cars there. And they said that they've actually opened it for people to come and see on Tuesday. So the auctioning started yesterday and will continue today. So fantastic cars, nice cars. Yeah, I wouldn't take them.
Why you say they are fantastic? And
because I can see the pictures. I can see really nice cars here. There are jeeps here. There are buses. There are. It's not Banjo. Banjo is like
what it is.
Okay, yeah.
Depending
oh, that's Banjo.
Oh, okay.
Clearance.
You're saying that they're scrap.
No,
yeah, like Banjo does.
Come and buy it cheaply. Clearance.
No, but it's not. Is it cheap? When they say auction, it means that if both of us want that Jeep, we might drive the price up, which is good.
Auction is a foreign word.
Anyway,
auction started in England.
Oh, but it's not. So when Banjo is that I'm selling it for 2,000 naira.
I have a very
Auction is different because the prices can go up based on who you have bid. So it's not really Banjo.
But we don't do bid. Traditionally, our Africans.
Jesus Christ.
Next
Can we go?
Please.
So there are 2 stories I want. One is just an update from yesterday's story about the 50-something-year-old woman who had sedated her parents and burnt them, set their house ablaze, and her father died. They said the mom is still unconscious with serious burns, but they said that she fled the scene and the police is on the lookout for her.
How old was she again?
52.
She's the girl that did it.
Yes.
Oh,
52 is not a.
We thought yes. She's not a girl. She's a fool.
So she killed her
Yes,
parents.
her other siblings, her younger siblings, were just as shocked. They said they were called and they heard that their
she's the one taking care of them, and she got frustrated and tired.
They said they have no
mental.
idea. Investigations are still going on. Have no idea why she did it. But I found the second story really interesting, and it's our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, and in an interview that was published in a book by the chaplain in Aso Rock at the time of Jonathan's administration. Some of the questions he was asked about, running for presidency again. He said he would never run for presidency in this country again or run for elections. He said that as far as he's concerned, it will diminish him. He says unless like maybe a weird circumstance, something happens and he has to take up the role, but that to pick up a form, go and talk to this person, campaigning from one area to that he would not do it, would diminish him. And he also, they asked him about, the rumors that had gone around that he had gotten a form. He said he too, he was just enjoying the drama like everyone else. That they insulted him out of office because he said he was not good enough. Today, they want him to come back, but that he's enjoying that. All he would like to do going forward, that he's already doing is what he does around African countries that are going through issues with their democracy, go there and try to stabilize their democracy. So I thought
this government empowered him to do.
I thought it was quite interesting. He gave other opinions on what he thought about the different candidates, permutation and combinations, and interesting.
Yes, I want to take the gridlock. The gridlock is affecting my business. We cannot sell Mowe Road now because everybody says Mowe Road is locked down in traffic. And even though, a lot of customers don't want to go there, and even I don't want to go there because we spend hours in that traffic. The conversation has been that because we're going towards Christmas, they are going to reduce, they would, Julius Berger would stop work, they would lift the barricade, traffic would free up. It hasn't happened. They said they lifted the barricade on Monday, they said they lifted some on Tuesday. They lifted the barricade and moved it into another place, still causing gridlock on the road. So the conversation is now being that commuters are complaining that it hasn't eased traffic at all, and even it has made it worse.
Yeah.
Now, there was something the FRSC boss, when he came here and were analyzing this thing, he mentioned that they were blocking off people from being able to follow the sides and coming in front. That side is like a full expressway, 2-lane, off the road. So the people following the legal, seemingly legal way are stuck. No movement because others are going under the bridge and joining in front.
And when they join in front, these ones there,
These ones can't
delayed.
move.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a multi-layered issue, but the first step is block those that are following that extra lane by the side, and everybody should follow the right
more
way.
men on ground?
I don't know.
They need more organization, more people.
The thing they are moving from the road, they should use it to go and block those
Let's
sides.
bring Engineer Damola Kuti, the Southwest.
We have to move on. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our reviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Daily Sun. Senate threatens zero budgets for Villa and Ministry. Court hits Ebonyi PDP hard, nullifies primaries. Air Force destroys more bandits camps in Kaduna. Britain has no preferred presidential candidate, says envoy. Atiku's rally shuts down Oshogbo as LP Guba candidate joins PDP. Second Niger bridge opens to traffic December 15th. FG recovers 120 billion naira from proceeds of crimes. Nigeria loses $22.68 billion to oil theft orders in 2022, says NNPC. And 2023, Tinubu supporters disillusioned, abandoning APC campaign, claims Atiku. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, I can start with... so it says the Minister of Works, Babatunde Fashola, has ordered the opening of the second Niger bridge, which is reported to be 95% completed to help ease traffic during this Christmas period. But the Federal Controller of Works in Delta State, Mr. Jim Olawale, says that it's being open for only 30 days and it's to help commuters, you know, access it during the Christmas season, especially as the original Niger bridge is usually congested around this time. And he also said that they're working with Road Safety Corps to ensure that, you know, there's hitch-free vehicular movement. Then he also addressed the issue. So there's news going around that government had used or had taken property in order to build that particular bridge. But he's saying that, first of all, government hasn't taken any of those properties yet, but has put out a, you know, like a message saying that some of these properties are along that road and it may lead to us having to, you know, use them. And so there's nothing about government not giving anyone compensation because government hasn't even acquired those lands yet. And yes, so it's good that, you know,
that so people are just, so they preempted.
Yeah.
That because you said that my road, my house is on your way.
Yeah. Then you know, went out saying that government has abandoned the compensation. Meanwhile, government has not even started.
According to
this report.
Well, according to this report.
Okay, let me take... because we've been taking a lot of the NDLE, because we're trying to let Nigerians know that the NDLE is working. And we also identify that the Air Force, the Nigerian Army too, are working. So anytime we see stories on Nigerian Air Force, so that Nigerians know that there's some work going on the war on terror. So the statement yesterday of the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arua, was saying that Nigerian Air Force has continued its assault on the identified bandits camp around enclaves within Kaduna State. According to them, they revealed that there's a camp in Riyawa Igabi local government area, terrorist location in Tofa general area of Beningwari local government area. And they actually, according to them, they used the air bombardment to be able to blow up some of these enclaves. It's just an update from the Nigerian Army to say that work is going on. They're supporting the ground troops with these area bombardments, which hopefully continue to help them to win this war on terror. Okay.
Following the complaint lodged by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Public Accounts, Matthew Uwogide, he says that the Senate has decided that about 100 agencies of the government will not be getting their allocations in the budget. According to Uwogide, they had been brought to they've not, followed up their audit. The Attorney General's office has reported that these agencies have not accounted for, what was expended on them for the year 2022, and that, they've summoned them. They've invited all the heads of about 100 agencies, including the Nigerian Army, the Ministry of Finance, Navy, Air Force, Police, INEC, and, about even the State House, the presidential fleet and all of them. But these heads of agencies have refused to appear before the Senate. So Senate have threatened all of you, no, nothing for the new budget. For you.
So the UK envoy to Nigeria visited the All Progressive Congress, APC, I think it's the office, their head office in Abuja. They had a conversation. She had a conversation with Abdullahi Ahmed Adamu, and she said that the British government has no preferred candidates, and they say they've been having this series of meetings across all the parties with all the 18 candidates, with the expectation that we want to see how we can work with parties to deliver a free and fair election. We want a peaceful political season. He also revealed that the conversation is part of the series of conversation is not to choose a particular candidate from the government, but to help to see how they can help ensure that ahead of the political season, all critical stakeholders, especially political party, understand the implication of if anything goes wrong. So that's simply what they're doing, because people were, the way social media goes out and says that they are choosing a particular candidate, they've come to say no, there are 18 candidates, and we want Nigerians to choose who they feel would be the leader.
Okay, the Nigerian Tribune, Senate expresses worry, set to debate policy that's concerning the CBN cash withdrawal limit. ICPC arrests the branch over alleged diversion of NPower funds. 25 held in Germany over suspected coup plot. Protests as police inspectors shoot boy to death in Lagos. Accounts for ecological fund you collected, federal government tells governors. Reps tackle ministry over submission of budget proposal for non-existing colleges of education. Muslim ticket to set new tone in Nigeria's political landscape, and unlike APC, PDP will not fail Osun, says Atiku. Which story jumped to you?
Yes, let's look at ICPC. It's quite concerning, has confirmed the detention of Oladipo Daniel Oyebanjo, that is Dibanj, and it's over an investigation about his alleged involvement in NPower program frauds. So the Speaker for the Commission says that there have been numerous petitions on the diversion of N funds running into billions of naira. Many of the beneficiaries have complained about the non-remittance of the non-receipt of the monthly stipends that that they've been paying.
We took it in this
Okay, so they
this
said
NPower.
about, in the course of their investigation, about 10 people were, called to sort of answer to these questions, and the badge had been asked to come for months and months, and he would, but he actually walked to their office, into their office by himself, and he's been detained, and investigation will go on. They said they haven't, SPC say that they haven't said anything more because they don't want to throw it to the media, make a media trial, but then all the stories out there, so that's why they are making a, making a statement.
I think it's important because allegations in social media is always treated as facts. And we must ensure that we don't do that. So let us wait for the proper thing. And I remember we took the story on, many people sent us messages that they were not paid for the NPower. They complained to the federal government that it's a fraud, it's a scam, it's a fraud. So it would be great to know that if indeed people actually diverted the funds.
The man is a personality whose career is largely on his image. And he will be wrong of the ICPC if they don't have a tidy
Exactly, to be sure.
be doing this to him.
Because we've given a fantastic suit.
IGP has inaugurated the digital central monitor registry for missing cars. So now Nigerians can now go on that portal and drop information about missing cars from since 2018. January 1st, and this data, according to the spokesperson CSP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, will help investigations and recovery of cars.
Fantastic. Okay, moving on to Vanguard. Floods, governors should account for the ecological fund, says Minister. Ohaneze tackles Simon Ekpa over illegal declaration of sit at home. Second Niger Bridge opens to traffic December 15th. EFCC conducts public auction of 400 cars in Lagos. FG recovers 120 billion naira from crime proceeds. Airtel emerges sole bidder in the 2.5 gigahertz spectrum auction. Atiku Obi promised Nigerians better future end to ASU strike. Why we are harvesting voter identification numbers from PVCs. 1.9 trillion naira service-wide vote. Senate threatens 100 MMDAs with zero budget allocation. And NJC reinstates Justice Ofili Ajimogbogwe as FHC judge.
So
Let me take the
remember-
major
you have
headline.
that.
Okay.
It looks like
Ecological fund.
Yes,
Ah.
governors have to sit up because the searchlight is on you now. So the Minister for Environment, Dr. Mohamed Abdullahi, is saying that Nigerians should seek answers from their respective governors on what they did with the huge sums of money that they received, you know, from the Federation for the ecological challenges. He says that if that money had been put to good use, the devastating effects of the flooding that happened this period we would not have experienced it. And we also remember the federal government had sort of accused, well, not sort of, accused governors of not handing over or monies to the local government.
Yes.
That's why we have poor development at the grassroots. He also talked about monies that the ministry has raised as a result of some of that's part of its achievements. They raised 8.7 billion internally through environmental services, and they paid that into the TSA. I just think that it's
like it.
good that we're questioning. Now we know who to question for.
Exactly, and I think that social media now, because as we get more information, so if you're going to tweet now, if you have a family who was affected by the Nigerian flood that happened recently,
Ask
what
your
you need to do
governor.
is let's find out from the
Focus
local
on your
government.
governor.
Focus on your governor. It's always easy to just say, oh, Nigeria is bad, though, there's
The
flood. though."
president.
No, let us not, the president is even on that thing, but
President.
let us begin to target the right people. You are giving money for ecological fund.
Yes.
What did you do with
for
it?
How
That's
did you
exactly what your
prepare?
tweet
Prepare for the floods.
should be about.
Yeah.
Not just saying, oh, Nigeria is bad, though, the whole country is sinking. Come on, that doesn't do anything. for
President
anybody.
Muhammadu Buhari also issued a
Statement.
an executive order
Yes.
on local government funds in this country. They even passed local government autonomy
Exactly.
as
And it's not
regards
been
their
implemented.
funds
Exactly.
in this country under this administration. People don't talk about it. They're saying that it's now that he's about to round up that he's talking about how governors have been signing off on local government funds. But he did something about it and they didn't allow it to work. They went to court.
Please let me take the oil
sorry,
market
Dr. Mabinu,
story.
Justice Rita Ophelia Jumogobi has been reinstated. You know, that
You took you were on that story
I
for
was
a
the
long
one that was
yes,
there. That was why I have to take
yes,
it.
we know.
So she's been discharged of the allegations, the charges against her since 2019. 2021, 19 November 2021. And so now the NJC has, with immediate effect, reinstated her, and the
Federal High
Chief
Court,
Judge
right?
of the Federal High Court has also, immediately dealt with the
Fantastic.
order. So
Good done.
It's good.
I really want to take the field story. So the former chairman of the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Tuji Oyebanji, has said that the oil marketers are faulting the NNPCL for the claim that they have enough fuel. That it's not that we're not arguing you have enough fuel, but where is the fuel that you say you have? If you say you have enough fuel, but the fuel is offshore, then you don't have enough fuel. I'm talking about. They are accusing that we are talking about the fuel that is in the
Available
depot
for
and
distribution.
available for
Distribution.
for distribution.
Yeah.
The fuel that NNPC is claiming they have that will last us for 34
So the
days
mother vessel.
is on the high sea, and we cannot get it in. And that the people that were supposed to release it have said that they've rejected the crude oil. They need to do an exchange, that they've rejected it. And Punch has tried to reach out to there's a new agency, NNPCL, and the NMDPRA to get a response, and they haven't gotten. That they've kept quiet on why the prices have changed. Truth is, we still do have a fuel crisis, and we don't have a sustainable solution for that crisis right now. We need the
Okay.
government to speak up.
Oh, that's all we can take. It's just leadership.
Yeah.
This country just needs leadership. Who is paying attention.
On the matter.
That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we want our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Over the past 10 weeks, we have been shining the spotlight on the amazing work being done across both private and public schools by the I Create Club and Vitafoam Nigeria PLC. Today, our attention will be on the champion of the Pillow Arts Competition private school category. Though the pupil is unavailable to join us today, a teacher is here in the studio with us. Before speaking with the teacher, let's watch a short video where the winner introduces herself to us.
Could you introduce yourself? And I'm sure you felt really proud watching that clip of Ose.
Yeah, very well. Good morning, Mariah. Amazing ladies, good morning. My name is Adekola Ido, the head of mid-elementary at Straightgate School, Magodo. So I'm super proud seeing Barcelona give the world a taste of the amazing talent we nurture at Straightgate School.
Tell us about our journey to art, the artwork she created. How was it?
Okay, so Barcelona painted the ocean wave, which you can see here. She painted the ocean wave using different shades of blue. As we all know, the blue color is synonymous with the ocean. Right. And interestingly, it was all her idea.
Wow.
She put in a whole lot of hard work, and she wanted it all to be perfect. At Straightgate School, we teach our children to stand out in whatever they do. As a matter of fact, one of the lines of the school creed says, "I am a Straightgate child, I stand out." So, while preparing for the competition, Barcelona reasoned that many of the competitors might take the route of painting the fish in the ocean and other aquatic animals. But she went the extra mile to do online research, came up with the idea of ocean, wave. And here we are today, so glad and proud that it paid off for her in the long run.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that was so interesting about Ose's video was she exudes so much confidence. Like, she was very comfortable, and it's so interesting to see that. Would you tell us a bit about that journey? How did she become that? Was it something, how did I Create contribute to building her confidence?
Okay, yeah, confidence plays a very big role. Truth is, we live in a very competitive world. And confidence is an important tool required by any child who aspires to be great. And for Barcelona, she has that I can mentality. And that's what a confident child carries with him or her. I can, the positive mindset, and of course, she feels that I have what it takes to shine. And for us as a school, we train them to be excellent, independent learners. And so Barcelona decided that I can actually win this competition, having put in so much with practices.
Right, so I saw the video and I saw Ose was saying she wants to be a doctor, a chef, an artist, and a singer. And I'm thinking, how did I Create put so much fun? How did they infuse fun for somebody who wants to be so much to achieve this?
Okay, thank you. Let me start by commending the I Create Club for doing a fantastic job with schools over the years. For me, the club exemplifies what I call learning through fun. Take, for example, this term, the club is going to school teaching children on how to be responsible in caring for their environment, in their environmental sustainability project for the schools that they're currently doing. So it's not the conventional redo, reuse, and recycle that they're used to. So the club has succeeded in using both storytelling and activity-based colored maze in engaging the pupils. So it's all fun, and so they're able to recognize and appreciate their role within the environment.
So let's talk about Vitafoam. And, we're aware that Vitafoam has supported the I Create club activities right from its inception. And I'm wondering, as a teacher and educator, how important do you think support from big brands to education is?
Very, very important. One factor people often forget is the fact that education is the bedrock of all other sectors. So if you refuse to invest in education, you're slowly but surely destroying all other sectors. And for us, it's impressive and quite commendable that Vitafoam PLC has chosen to throw its weight behind the school using the iCreate platform. And as an educationist, it means a whole lot to us because we now see that Vitafoam is not just about, the profit. Vitafoam is also interested in, working with schools to build the next leader generation. And that aligns with our school's vision of building the generation for God.
So what would be, I loved the gifts. I want that kind of room makeover for my children. And I'm sure that this would inspire a lot of people in your school. What would be your final words to Vitafoam for putting this an iCreate Club?
Okay, for the Vitafoam, I want to sincerely thank them for creating a bigger platform where children could fully explore their potential and, of course, build their confidence. And I want to thank them particularly because they've not gotten tired over the years supporting the schools. And we're so proud of this. A big kudos to Vitafoam and to iCreate Club. I want to thank you for working with the children, helping them to unlock their potential and helping them to actualize their God-given dream.
Fantastic. So well done to you, Ose. If you're watching us, I mean, I know you're not, you can't be here today, but after watching your video and speaking with your teacher, we definitely did get a solid feel of the great stuff you're made of. A big well done to the iCreate Club and Vitafoam Nigeria PLC for the platform they are giving to thousands of talented children like Ose. Remember, Vitafoam memory pillows are still going out. For a chance at the winning, visit the iCreate Club's Instagram page at iCreateClubNG. That's all we can take on this segment. Stay with us. After the break, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So it's Thursday. We like to talk about family, relationships, and love. And we saw one information from Indonesia that caught our attention. We thought it was something worth talking about. So Indonesian Parliament on Tuesday banned sex outside marriage with a punishment of up to 1 year in jail. Despite worries that the law may scare away tourists from its shores and harm investment, lawmakers approved a new criminal code which will apply to Indonesians and foreigners alike and also prohibits cohabitation between unmarried couples. Now, what are your thoughts on this? We must remember that Indonesia has one of the largest population of Muslims, and that's what is part of the customs and tradition of the people. What are your thoughts on this? Because juxtaposing that with, if it's something we think makes sense, especially in our own society, do we think it's something that we might have to implement in Africa? Is it something you believe that we should consider, in view of all the, I don't want to say, I'm trying to find kind words, of all the side chickism and things that we're seeing around here. What do you think about this, Lord? Would it work in our country? Let's just join the conversation on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. Now, the reason why I thought this was interesting was because I think, and I'd like to take this from a different perspective. There are different perspectives. I think the world is forgetting to respect people's culture, traditions, and religions. Respect the territories people live in, their reality. And because we've seen that happen in Qatar, where they're saying, oh, this is what we do here, and if you're coming here, this is how we do things. Many people have condemned Indonesia for this. But is it okay, was it possible for us to look at it from different sides of the coin? Could we understand where they're coming from? And is this something that is necessary? That's one angle. The other conversation is, can we do that in Nigeria? If we think it is necessary,
Exemplary.
Can we, therefore, implement something similar here? Maybe to reduce the promiscuity we experience in marriages, Maybe, we never know. But what are your thoughts on, let me start with, Nima, want to start? Or let Tokwe start.
So, I think that globalization has served us very well. And it is a good thing. There is a lot of good in cross-fertilizing ideas, learning how some countries are doing things, and realizing that what I'm doing is not working for me. I think I like the way these people are doing it, and I would learn. And it's really helped us worldwide. And some people in the world feel like they have the autonomy of innovation, of advancement, and they feel like they have advanced so much, they helped most of the world, and so we made you civilized, and whatever we say is the best. But I think that it is amazing how we are evolving to the point where some countries are saying, okay, so maybe this is what you want to do in your part of the world. This is not what I want to do in my part of the world. And we must accept it. I don't believe Nigeria should copy it. I think Nigeria should ask ourselves the question, what do we feel suits us, our people, and will solve our own unique problems? Let's not just do copy and paste from Indonesia, because we've seen how that might not work. It might work for Indonesia, it might not work necessarily for us. We have copied enough. We need to start checking within ourselves about what we want to do. But Indonesia has done what works for them, and I feel I'm happy for them, you know. I don't know what their citizens who like to cohabit without being married will feel about this. But I think every country can decide for themselves what their vision is, their long-term goals are. We admire Singapore, we admire UAE. You see what they're doing in Bahrain. Like, countries, leadership in the country will say, this is the kind of country I want. So for my people to achieve this kind of country, they would need to make these sacrifices along the journey. Right. And I think that is a good thing.
Let me come to you, Mariam, because when Nigeria banned Twitter, I mean, all hell broke loose. How can they do these other countries? You know, it was as if, and the government for themselves felt they were doing something that we needed to do, because things were going haywire on social media. There was hate speech, there was so much going on, and they banned Twitter at the time. But now this country is saying, this is what we're doing. Do you think we don't know much about Indonesia, but do you think the people would understand, accept this, or do you think it was the right thing for them to do?
So let's just give some context, because I was reading about it, and it says that they've had like a code that had been given to them by their colonialists, the Dutch, and so they had been, this code that they've been working on it for many years. Yes. And this particular issue about banning of, or morality code as they call it, has been a contentious issue for them. They've had their students and their youths protesting against it. But, you know, their representatives, their political representatives have come out to say that this was not just taken, you know, they did not just come up with it. Everybody, all stakeholders were involved in coming up with what they feel is best for their country, because, you know, they understand it. So that's why I believe that every country, yes, after gaining your independence and trying to work your democracy, we should have a code that really reflects our people. So for them, I think it's something that they are struggling with, because yes, it describes them as a largely Muslim country, but also is one of the biggest tourist centers. A couple of their cities are like biggest tourist centers and business places in the world. And people are questioning the fact that how does this affect business and tourism going forward? And, you know, my question was, you that you're coming to do business, are you coming to do sleeping with each other business? You know, why should we bother in that sense? We go to different countries, they have different cultures, different laws, and when we get there, we respect it. So I feel that people would respect it. But my problem is in banning this, in having this morality code, and saying people who are not married should, you know, would face 1 year in prison. Is there anything about prostitution? Do you understand? Is it really just about two unmarried people in a relationship that should be banned, or men who are able to pay for sex and go, you know, and then finish and then they leave? These are people who are maybe married, they pay for this thing and they go. And we know that in Indonesia, they have like a city, a particular city, they say it's one of the biggest red light districts in Southern Asia. You know, so I feel that we are in modern times. We should come up with codes or laws that reflect our people, as well as giving sort of some credence to modern times. But I also admire them that they have looked at their country, they have seen the issues that they have. Maybe they are trying to reduce prostitution, trying to reduce
Children out of wedlock.
Children, and you know, just issues that will come from just constantly cohabiting. I know that people will think, oh, it's a modern thing, I will just stay with someone and then move on. But I also think that these sort of behaviors have an impact, not just morally, but also economically. And
let me come to you, Nima. Your thoughts on your initial thoughts on this, because when it happened, you know, I was being careful not to judge for my own lens of, okay, I'm a Christian, I don't think this is a fantastic thing. I mean, is this possible? You know, I was trying to look at this objectively, even if I were a Muslim, if I think it's something that that aligns with the Quran. What do you think when you heard about this proposition by their house?
Okay, so what I understand about process of lawmaking that makes law effective is that it carries the ways and cultures and practice of the people, so that there's an acceptance of that law. And as you said, Indonesians are largely Muslims, and one of the most practicing, in fact, they conform better than Saudi Arabia when it comes to Islamic values and laws. So the Saudi Arabians are Muslims, but the Islamic values, they water it with Emirates rules and all of that. So it's based on the biases of whoever is king. But in Indonesia, the people themselves live the ways, you know, that the Quran expects of them. And so you'd see an acceptance of a law like this. It would not work in other countries, or mostly it wouldn't even work here. Because Muslims here don't know exactly what is Muslim and what is Islam. Just, you know, I'm a Muslim. I was born a Muslim. Most people don't understand. I am even struggling constantly to live an Islamic life. It's different when you're a Muslim. And, you know, so people here won't work. So that's one outstanding thing about Indonesia. They know very well their history. They know their people's ways, and they know their house is reflective of their lives. Unlike here, where we just go, one law has been in England. That's how Oyibo man has done it. And then we bring their marriage act here. It's completely clashing with everything that makes sense to a black man. What is bigamy? We don't understand it. But it is a law in England. We imported it along with the marriage act, and we are still carrying it around, and there's no precedent because it's clashing. You know, a lot of laws like that, they are business. I was even saying to Tokwe today, when I learned about auction, it was in law. And it was an England practice, an Englishman practice of, you know, just putting in the highest bidder. When you bring auction to a Muslim, it's against Islam. Highest bidder thing, they'll be like, you know, it is an interest and all of those things. So we don't carry laws that reflect what our people can accept. And so we're constantly confusing our people, confused with our laws. You now go to one country, like, I don't want that court. You know? I am married under Islamic law, for instance. I don't want somebody to use the Marriage Act presently to arrange my marriage. It doesn't work for me, you know. I would expect that the House or National Assembly brings a law that covers me, covers Miriam, and whatever we believe in, our various beliefs are, and, you know, and carries that kind of way of life. I deliberately don't want the Marriage Act to organize my life when it comes to my marriage. You know, and I don't believe in the Englishman's way of things. We must carry, when our houses sit and they pass a law, for instance, for Lagos, for instance, and the law carries the practices of Omonile and all of that, and it conforms, and land use act is not clashing, you don't think Lagosians will be shouting? If their history, the way it was practiced, clearly carries it, but there's a clash now, so we're constantly in court, back and forth, things that don't reflect our ways.
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll bring this to another level of how, if we find a way, do we need it? That's the question. Do we need it in this part of the world, especially to curb promiscuity? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, in my head right now, I'm thinking in our modern society, there's a constant clash between something I termed liberal morality versus conservative morality. Now, these are just the words that came to my mind. I'm not even sure they're real terms. But in my own head, it's liberal morality is where I do what I want as long as I'm not hurting you. It's my prerogative. I do what I want to do. Like I can sleep with anybody I want to sleep with. I'm not hurting the next person. Conservative morality in my head is where we're doing things as it's done, or how society accepts it, or how it's been passed on to us, or what society has termed the right thing to do. And in that modern society, there's that constant clash. How do we sustain sanity in a society when we are constantly having young people who feel liberal enough to make their own choices, and we have parents who are saying, well, why don't you do it this way because that's how we did it? And I bring that conversation to the point where this is some kind of way to say, I'm an adult. I can choose not to marry somebody, but I can choose to cohabit responsibly with somebody without having a document validating that cohabitation. These are things modern people do today. And in Indonesia, they're saying it's not acceptable possibly because the society is degenerating to where people are now having loose sexual activity across the society. But can other societies like ours, for example, consider something like this to help us keep the sanity or the conservative morality that we choose or we want to have or allow children to have? Do you think it's something worth considering in this part of the world?
Okay, we've tried it in the north.
How?
Under the penal code.
Yes.
Sex outside marriage is well regulated. Fornication is a crime. Adultery is a crime.
Yes.
On paper, it's in the penal code. Okay, they have some precedents. They actually do. We've read about some, but it's not popular. Because even up north where they're conservatives, you see that clashing all the time. People still, families, where they know that they'll move a leg and an arm to make sure that their children don't get the indictment or conviction so that it doesn't taint family names. So you see that law not working. So let's not waste time.
Yeah, but you just told us now that culture, that we should create laws that are closer to our culture. So you're saying it's not working.
I just said that. I'm saying it's not working up north. It's not working.
So let me tell you what even made this conversation interesting. Is the fact that in Nigeria, hey, if you catch somebody with someone that is not married, we will want to crucify the person. Then when they said Indonesia is banning, if you see the comments, like, hey, this cannot work. So what are we? Are we really moral people or are we immoral? Are we hypocrites? What are we? Do we just want to be? Yes. The truth is, we want to be with anybody we want to be with, any age, any time, married or unmarried. That is who we are. That is what we want to do. But in Nigeria, we want to do it discreetly. So what we want is a discreet code. When you do it, please hide it. Don't show it. Don't put it in our faces. Don't carry it as if it's a thing of pride. Hide your sin so that you're not punished. And, I don't see this working in Nigeria. I mean, there's so many. If it was to work in Nigeria, just the messages that come from the pulpit and from the mosque is enough to stop a lot of things. But in spite of, you go to church and everybody goes back.
But do you think, Miriam, do you think, let me stay where you are. Do you think that if we have a code, a discrete code alike, where, okay, your sins, we know you are sinning, but don't put it in our faces. That your sin, keep it somewhere, because we don't want to set the wrong examples for our children. Do you think that might work?
It exists already.
Because there's no code now. There's no code backing it up.
Public sins and public, it was public abuse, offensive public conduct, I think. I'm not trying to get the exact good term. I don't know why. My mind is somewhere else. And, such behaviors are punishable. They are simple crimes, punishable maybe 3 months, 2 months, but we punish them here already. So we code them. But what is funny up north is all the precedents that I read. Now, poor man picking, they go jail for things like this.
True.
But the people that we went to school together, that were doing this kind of things where the elites and nothing happened. They go scot-free. So that's the unrealistic part of it.
So you can't legislate culture. You cannot legislate to remove culture. You educate to change culture. And everybody that's tried legislating culture, over time, what they are trying to suppress overtakes them. And we can check history. So in most cases, the best approach is to give enough information, enough education to make people make that decision by themselves. Put in all the negatives that will come as a result of you carrying out this action in your faces so that you're making that decision by yourself. But it can't work in Nigeria is a it's just people just want to get away with it. If they like can work, they'll put it. If they do it, what I'm saying they can work is, we are a very religious community. And in our religion, every religion that you go to, you shouldn't be having relationships with somebody that you are not married to.
Yeah.
It's a standard.
We're all doing it.
You know, we're not all
There's everywhere.
Many people are doing it.
Yes,
Many people are doing
yeah. So, like, it's against our religion.
It's
so
against our
it's
law.
against our laws. It's against our culture. But we have accepted it. So that's why I said there's no legislation that would work. It must be education.
So
Yes.
what
Why
I'm
are you
trying to
doing
say-
this?
So what I'm trying to talk about, there's legislation already. There's
Education
religion
from the
already.
pulpit.
There's
But it's
education
still
already.
happening.
From childhood, if your children's school, you will find that they teach them all this is premarital sex is not good.
Yeah,
Been
the imams
teaching
and
us.
Yeah.
pastors
The thing
preach
is
it
that
every Sunday.
humanness,
and desire.
But the people that did not do it now.
But
So it's not about the law.
Good.
That's what
No,
you're
so
saying.
talk about your
It's
background.
education.
You're right. Yeah.
Good.
It's
so
education.
One thing I fear, so I agree with you about
Information.
legislating. So one thing I fear anytime there's a legislation is actually to punish. And usually we seek out
Hey.
the most vulnerable.
Let's now come to the
people
punishment
who
part.
are poor, people who do not have influence, people who cannot find their way and get out of things. So that is
So
my fear.
let me
with
take this
legislation.
call from Ade. We'll come to what kind of punishment do you think is would deter? Let me start with Ade. Good morning, Ade. Are you there?
Good morning.
You're
Good morning,
live.
ladies. How
Go
are you
ahead.
doing? Yes. Every nation pass laws according to their culture. I think in Nigeria, there should be a law banning married women from having a male friend. Once you are married, you have a male friend. So cut it off. So there should be a law in Nigeria doing that. That would work well in Nigeria. And I'm sure Elijah will support that.
Oh, okay. We didn't
Okay,
hear him,
so-
but the producer is telling me that he's saying that there should be a law banning married women from having male friends. That's
The
another
thing
one.
is, in most cases,
Why
but if
is
they
it
put
the
any law-
women?
Exactly.
Why is he asking you to be the one to support?
Well, and if a law is
I
about
grew up with too many male friends.
promiscuity, laws about promiscuity in most cultures deal with the women. We don't see men getting punished for promiscuity, and that for me is a major issue. For promiscuity to happen, both sexes are involved. But
Yes.
for punishment to happen, the women
Only
get
one
punished.
sex.
When they are punishing women for having premarital sex, it is they strip the woman naked. She's a prostitute. Where is the man they were prostituting with? We don't see. If by nature punishes a woman, that already is enough, because if the
Childbirth.
result of promiscuity is a child outside wedlock or getting pregnant, you see the result on a woman. So if law wants to come in to stop promiscuity, it shouldn't be punishing a woman. Actually, any law that must come in right now that wants to punish promiscuity should say that the law is invalid if the opposite sex that they had it together with is not there. That is to say, you cannot cut my hand or cut my leg or sentence me to prison if the man I was doing it with is not also being sentenced to the same term
You're absolutely
in
right.
prison.
You're absolutely correct.
I wanted
Because
to
it should be
jump
one-sided. But I wanted to come to the issue of deterrence. You know, how do these laws, how can these laws, in actual fact, deter people? We've seen abroad, I wouldn't say they found a way to deter, but reduced a bit of this. When they know that as you're entering, if you enter marriage, the law recognizes that both of you are partners, and there's
the
some way where you lose half or 50% of your property based on the state you live in. So in that way, men are very careful
Before
to cheat.
marrying.
They are clear. Okay, if I'm going to cheat, okay, this is my own property, this is your own property. They enter the marriage not just I can't eat, I can't sleep. It is with their head enter to know that because if this thing ends, I'm losing 50. But in this situation, this is unmarried people, right? So is there any kind of law do you think would deter men from promiscuity or women from promiscuity?
Human beings.
Okay, it's not about the way I see it. As Tokwe said, you really can't legislate just on this to stop it. It has to be a people's way of seeing and doing things. You see, in this country, we'll tell our kids, don't smoke, don't drink. We have laws already on ground that bans consumption of certain, intoxicants, substances. And we see our artists publicly in all their videos doing it, and the law will say there was no crime. You don't need a petition to the NDLEA to arrest Davido, Wizkid, all of them. Olamide smoking and drinking in their videos at concerts, public events, smoking and they are high. They'll take a break. They'll do that. And if we have that law, but our people are accepting it, why do we now complain that every junction you drive through, there's a boys publicly? That's how I got unfortunate to go and hang somewhere, and I was dense with smoke. I was not seeing road again. All the boys there were just doing it, and this is supposed to be illegal in this country. I was like, Why is it so popular
you know
everywhere?
legislation.
So what
Wait.
is our way of life? Go.
Let me take
That's
this
it.
call. I'll
way
come
of
back to
life.
our-
No, what will an average Nigerian not do publicly? If we can see, if
still not bringing.
if we have the NDLEA that bans all of this, and people are smoking at every junction,
Those are-
what is cuckoo smoke now? Let's remove the law.
Yeah.
It's ineffective.
Let me
Because you now need a report before somebody can come and raid and arrest
Exactly.
you. That's wrong.
Let me take this call. Good morning. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Yes, I like the conversation. First and foremost, we are at... Good morning. Can you hear me?
Don't listen to the TV. Listen to me. Go ahead.
Yes. What I want to say is that the law frowns against recreational sex in any culture, in any faith. And secondly, we also frown against prostitution. So it simply means what they have done technically in Indonesia is to outlaw categorically, even though as a Muslim country they have always been against prostitution. And I think in Nigeria also we are against prostitution. And we must take it from there, but we must also teach our children and the younger ones that recreational sex, which is sex outside marriage, is not acceptable. And that we must face the morality that must be there in the society to
Jimmy.
sustain our development.
Let me bring in this angle. I'll come to you, Mary. Let me bring in this angle. Because some people have argued that prostitution is a trade that should be legislated in one area because there are always people coming for that service. So in some countries they make that debate where it's legalized. That's one angle. But if the same way, one of the things why I admire the Quran is the fact that it seems the Quran almost tells you like everything to do line by line, like how to stand up when you wake up in the morning, how to sleep. You know, I'm just exaggerating, but it is very, very specific, which is really admirable. So imagine if we have a law where it says that if you are married and you have a girlfriend, because you have a girlfriend, she's entitled to maybe 20% of her basic salary, where she knows she can say, listen, I'm your girlfriend.
Of the man's basic salary.
Not even however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Either her own salary or his own salary. Where there's a law that says, as a girlfriend, I am entitled to this. Now, if we're just boyfriend and girlfriend, legally, you as a girlfriend are entitled to do something to me. You as a man are entitled. There's a legal backing for even boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yes.
For every adult
Thank you.
conversation I want to enter or be relationship I want to enter, I know there's an obligation. There's a legal obligation for that. Maybe men and women will think twice before stepping out either out of their marriage or agreeing to have a relationship. These are different ways that might work to reduce
Yes,
what
not,
we're trying to
not,
achieve.
not just banning
let me
it or
explain.
saying prison,
Okay, so-
but economical one. You just hit the nail.
Well, I don't think that will work either. Because if I can pay it, I will pay it.
Yeah.
I mean, people are already doing it.
But would you
People-
reduce?
I mean,
Elon
it
Musk.
may, it may not. The
Jeff
one
Bezos.
thing I want to say that may have helped. You see this thing called. See, why do people engage in this thing? It's like eating. You know, food. People will eat food. If you like ban food anyhow, you will look for it. So the same for sexual relations. What would make someone not want to eat? I think, what would you do to someone that the person will not get food? Do you understand? So you have to look for what is it that you would tell someone that will say, okay, I am not going to have, sexual relations. And for me, it's mostly fear, and it's fear from maybe diseases. I know that when we were growing up, there was this scourge of HIV and AIDS. And for a lot of us our own age, we actually saw people die. We saw how lives were changed because of it.
They put these
And,
pictures in our
and the data shows that I think we were much better. Now we have a surge in the numbers of people with HIV and, HIV at least. And for me, and I was thinking about it, most of the young people, especially those in their 20s, they did not see what we saw. They did not hear what we heard, so they're living this life. We have to remind people of diseases. For me, it's not money. I will pay it. If the fear of hellfire has to stop people from doing this thing, is it 20K or 200,000 or 2 million that will stop someone from going?
Let me go on a break. I have to go on a break. When I come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this matter. Tokwe was going to say something before the break.
So I didn't agree with Mariam in terms of fear and all of that. I think that we've tried the approach of putting fear in people's minds. On the pack of a cigarette is a lung that this lung is showing dead lungs, like you will die. Smokers will die, you know. And yet people will take that cigarette and smoke it because they will say there are a few that survive many. But I know the 75-year-old man that he smoked every day all his life.
But data shows that it's less of a culture now than it used to be.
So here's what I feel. There are few people that did not fall into the trap despite the fact that they have the need as human beings to want to indulge in promiscuity, even outside wedlock, was because of the strong parental, strong emotional support, strong parental guidance. It was more of that voice in my head, you know, that it might not be from the direct parents, but there was just this strong emotional strength and spiritual guidance that has helped them through, even in facing temptation. And there are always going to be temptation because they are human beings. So we need to go back to building people's inner character, and that will happen it would only happen if we provide that knowledge. So a few people that haven't done it is because they had so much information and so much strength of character that they were able to overcome. And until we go back into building strength of character, we'll still have people that will fall for either drugs or sex or something else. And another thing that I feel might be a strong deterrent is what you mentioned, which is providing a strong economical damage to those that go about it. The wealthy will still escape. The truth is, the wealthy would escape regardless of whatever you put in place. But it would reduce the number. And Mariam said that we should be okay with reducing the number because that's a win. You might not eliminate it, but if you can reduce the number, we can make it work. In the US, people don't get divorced quickly. They don't get married quickly because they are weighing their options well, because they understand the economical impact of any decision they are making on their life. So if we have an strong economical decision that is affiliated to these things, we might be able to reduce the number, if not eliminate it.
So we have an example of somebody very close to us who is in a responsible relationship. She's not married to the person. They don't have a document binding them. But everybody knows that these two people are committed to each other. Shouldn't the law recognize these kind of relationships? Should we begin to consider where, okay, I've not been married for X amount of years, I'm 40 years old, I'm 50 years old, I love this person, she's somebody I just want to be with, I don't want to have a document because I have adult children and I have this many issues, I just want to have a companion. And should the law recognize, because in Indonesia now, that kind of arrangement is illegal. Because there's no document binding it. But should we consider, let's leave promiscuity on the one side. Two adults who choose to live together, have their own properties separately, but still have that cohabitation. Should this be something to be considered for us to legalize?
This law is not so perfect, because I will come to how I think it's imperfect later. But you see what you just explained. Some countries have laws recognizing such relationship of cohabitation and sharing of property and living space, and recognizing it such that if something were to happen to one of the partners in such a relationship, they would get certain privileges of the honor of being at the burial, the honor of even certain privileges and gifts that they have shared. Right. So those laws we can study. Yes, they exist, and such relationships are things that are known to African customs. Concubines, women around kings, and they existed here, but when we can't bring marriage at core, everything is outside marriage. So we need to upgrade.
We need to review. That's
now,
your own.
Yes, we need to. Now, to the ineffectiveness of this ban. Indonesia is a tourist country. They thrive on tourism. I don't think they have any other thing. And they brought a problem by exposing outside culture to their people. And now they are thinking of putting down this law. So do you now see any man and woman just strolling past each other? If I walk past Tokwe on the road now and we recognize each other, can you then say sex? Because in Islam, the key element to enforcing fornication law, to establishing a crime of fornication or adultery, is to prove the act itself happened. And if two people pass each other and meet at a point, and you did not see them, what happened inside the door that they entered, but they came out, How do you prove?
Yeah.
You know that sex has happened, that you've banned. You must be able to prove if they are following Islamic law. You must prove that the act happened, either by video or 4 witnesses that witness, and they can swear with the Quran that they saw what happened. Either ways, it will fail. So that's why it fails. In most places, and rich people know how to.
So that's why there was a need.
Yes. So for them now that have promulgated this law, how exactly would they prove it if they were to enforce, try a person for the crime of this law that they have passed? Yeah. How exactly do they plan
Okay, so let's bring it back home. I really want to also end this conversation on how the Nigeria, so we have quite a number of people who are not married and who probably choose not to get married. Others would like to get married, but for whatever reason, they've not been able to get a good partner. But they have people who are willing to share, spouse sharing. Someone say, I don't mind being the second wife, I don't mind being the third wife, I don't mind being the second husband, whatever it is. I mean, I'm just trying to find an angle to this conversation.
Mariah, you have said one.
But how do you think we can reconsider our law? I mean, I've suggested one. Are there other things that we can reconsider to help reduce, one of which could be maybe pushing out this issue of polygamy, legalizing polygamy? Is there an option? So are you willing to share? Are we willing to
Why do we have precedents recognizing polygamy?
If we're saying that the English law does not mirror our customs, culture, practices, or our desires as a people, as man, African man.
Okay.
Every woman you have.
Can we review some of these laws?
There are a few things you've mentioned here. The first one, you've talked about people who are in partnership, and I think some countries recognize that. Right. So you even in terms when there's a dissolution of that partnership, you are
still independent.
You have some things that you can take from. Yeah, there are compensations and benefits you can take from that sort of relationship. So the law recognizes that. Secondly, you're talking about some people who want to share. But here you are on your way to see Mommy Gio. Maybe that's a question I would like you to ask.
No, it's not asking.
It's something that you would like that will now be introduced also into church, where we say, you know what? The truth is we're actually first Africans before we are Christians. So yes, I will marry you, but then please open the door for people who can share, and then put a law that sort of acknowledges these people that we're sharing with and give them benefits or whatever during the solution. The truth, as I said, concerning this whole conversation is Nigeria, we're not ready. We know what we do and want to keep that in secret. What we want, we don't want legislation. We don't want you to put it on the table and let people discuss it. We want to do it and hide it and pretend that we are one man, woman. The Muslim man will tell you he has 4 wives and he keeps it. But has he stopped him from getting extra girlfriends outside? No. Has he stopped the 4 wives complaining that their husband is out there looking for even more women? No. Has he stopped the movement of 4 wives every 3 years and replace? So that is not our problem. Really is. I know, Tokwe, you were really idealistic with, we need to talk to them more, we need to preach to them more, we need to legislate them, we need to find them. There's nothing that is new under the sun. They have done everything. The truth is, you just hope and pray that conversations like this would encourage each and every individual to do the right thing for themselves, for their wives, and for their children.
May I agree?
Well said.
May I agree with Miriam that it's based on a person's choice that he lives morally right, or he does not. So is it based on a person's choice that she lives morally right or not?
Even if we have a Quran that's totally almost explicitly
and what makes you make the moral, what makes the choice?
It is you who choose to follow the book. You choose which way of life you want to follow. What we are asking is that the court also recognizes it. For instance, a man who now says, I have my wife at home, you're growing old, I don't want to disrespect you by having a Mrs. right now in the house. But there's a Miss Help outside. The chicken, not even just chicken, the real chicken is somewhere, outside. And that woman also understands that arrangement, respects it, doesn't rub it in your face, but then she asks for certain privileges. And you say, no, the law should not recognize that, because that's a different matter.
Oh, I'm hearing you. Let me be sure I hear you.
Yeah.
So man, woman are married.
Yes.
Man wants to go outside and he has something steady. He has a few steadies.
Yes.
But you are saying the law should recognize that, especially when this woman is saying, you know what, don't give me a headache.
Yeah.
Give me some privilege. Make sure that I have a house.
Don't rub
Make
it
sure
in.
that every month you do this. My children are in good schools. Once I am okay, I'm fine. You say that should be legislated across board.
Let me understand. So she has a status. Okay, like I'm on your view now. I'm in your view woman. And I've already come and told them that Nima is one man, one wife. Zibi cannot marry and join me.
Yeah.
Cannot happen.
Yeah.
You know? And I called Zibi and said, you know, you can have 4 wives. Just don't spit in my face. We respect that image I've already given to the world. Just keep it as it is.
Yeah.
So the girl that Zibi puts outside, that is really happy.
Please use another name.
Okay. The girl.
That Mr. John.
Mr.
Just use John.
Outside. What is going to be her life status?
Yeah.
She has accepted. She knew that
For
she was married
instance,
first now.
So you're saying there should be a
whatever
law
comes-
recognizing her?
Yes, something covers
Okay.
for her.
Okay.
And you know that
Like what?
they've tried it in this country. I think Kwara State, under the administration of estate laws, tried something like that. I think Section 4. I don't know if they've amended it, but I studied it just as I was leaving for law school. And I found it interesting that these people are even thinking, because these things happen. One woman is outside who does not show up. And you know those kind of things that happen at the burial side. Woman will not show up. I have 2 children. Driver, they look people.
So that woman must be
Yes,
must be
respected
compensated
and compensated.
as
And we
well.
must have laws.
That's what there was a lady.
Because she
something
functioned.
that happened.
Yes.
Something press. I can't remember her name.
Ellen Press.
Ellen Press.
You
So
know,
someone like that, the law should recognize
should
that
have
this
those
man
things.
was with this
She-
man for
I call
years.
she-
and
was a
those things are
companion.
popular.
She was a companion for
She
years.
was, yes, she was also helping. You say, no, I was there when he was suffering. What if she was the one taking care of his BP at the time when he was old?
Okay.
You know?
So the question
you are now, no, you are now insisting, not as a married artist now. Like, let's not even bring that person. No. Let's not even bring that person at all.
So
Who is
the-
she?
oh,
I'm the one
okay,
who is married.
I get
you
this
see,
part
you
of-
see, justice has different meaning to different people.
Gotcha.
And we should acknowledge everything.
It has different
like it.
meaning to
Okay,
different
I get-
people.
But
So we
now,
should
what
sit
will now
down.
happen is that you, as the wife, if something happens now, what would the law say is your own compensation or benefit, and then what will be the side chick's benefit?
Because you
What
are married,
percentage?
Mariam, you
Yes,
already have
so what-
everything.
Okay, so what
That
percentage?
document gives you full
Ownership.
ownership because you're already married.
You
Abi?
see,
It
you
won't
see what
give
that
you
thing
full
does? No, wait,
ownership.
you see what that thing does is that the power to write a will gives the man the power to still shock you, like the house. They will shock you, your share will
I'm
shift.
telling you.
He can say, okay, you are the one at home, you have controlled me all these years, but that person outside,
That's the law.
done so much more for
Nimo,
me.
I hear
And
you.
then shock
Nimo, I hear you, and I think
So let's
that
allow
I think that we
this
should
thing
not
open
allow.
door.
We shouldn't.
Let's
We shouldn't
open it.
mix up the conversation.
Okay.
And
We
from
are
what I'm
met in
hearing,
Indonesia
yes, from what I'm hearing from Nima is that our law, our current law, is not taking into cognizance the different shades of
The reality-
partnerships and
that
relationships that exist on ground within our culture.
Which is, yes, which is culturally
Which are
acceptable.
culturally acceptable.
Yes.
So I know that when people in our culture, if a man is already like 60, I mean, a man is 70, and maybe he's lost 70, 80, lost his wife, there would be another woman brought in, and they rarely get legally married.
Yes.
But that woman has been brought in, the children just bring in, that's somebody that will take care of you, so that you're not alone and you're able to live long. That woman that they bring in legally should be recognized. So there are many shades.
Yes,
You remember?
she's my friend.
There are many shades like that they bring in those. There are different scenarios, and all of them should be acknowledged. If there's something I studied in school about institutional injustice. When there is institutional justice, everybody knows that we are fairly covered. There'll be no reason to be scheming behind the scene.
Exactly.
If I know that if I want a woman, I can marry the woman and this is okay.
Okay.
Once everything is covered legally, we will
Yes.
not be going behind the scene
And
doing
doing this
different
discreetly.
concussion, discreet. It will be
Are
a
we
very
ready?
open thing.
Let me take this call. Let me take this call.
You ready? I'm coming and bring Englishman.
Okay, bring the Englishman. Let me take Yakub. Good morning, Yakub.
Yes, good morning.
You're live. Yakub, you have multiple wives now.
Yes, sir. Alaji.
Alaji. Yes, for
we
me.
know now.
Yes, I'm entitled to, but not yet. Even though I had in mind that I would do that, by God's grace, if I had money. Because if I don't have money to cater for them, I don't have capacity, ability, and then to be able to mingle within the
Yakub, how many do you have now? How many do you have
I
now?
have one.
Just one.
I have one.
Do you have
I
concubines?
have one.
People outside that are just in the fringe, they're about to come inside.
See, Murayo, I just choose to call this morning because Sister Nima said something that is so direct to my mind. You see, it is a choice. It is a choice whether to go to that length or to stay with your wife. Are you getting it now? And then this very particular talking about, Morayo, it is very, very difficult. I just mean they want to follow it to as Sister Nima said. It is going to be very difficult for them to be able to catch whoever does this. Because if they follow what Quran says, Morayo, you can never catch them. Let me give you a typical reason here. An example as case may be. Two people enter a hotel or they enter wherever they choose to go. They choose to lock the door at the back. And then Quran says that if you want to catch them, you must provide four people that will come different way. Not that somebody will say, stay there, don't stand up. They will go and call another person. No, those ones should be come in different way. To be able to ascertain, yes, this can happen. See, Indonesia, yes, they are core Muslim country, but this very particular law they are trying to do, on earth, they want to do it outside Quran. They may be able to do that. But if they choose to go by Quran, it is going to be very, very difficult because Quran, if you want to follow what Quran says,
Okay.
they are not
Yakub, let me let you go because I like to engage him on this one. This is an interest. I'm trying to be very careful not to critique the Quran too much. So if a man goes out to the hotel, for example, right, and he does it so discreetly, where he's not able to get an evidence, nobody can give him. He enters, does his thing, and goes back scot-free. He's still okay. He walks free. So the next place he goes and does the same thing, nobody can. There's no full evidence. So he's free
It's
to
avoid miscarriage of justice. You know the consequence of it in adultery is stoning to death.
Yeah.
It's such a grievous one that you cannot just come and lie on somebody and then stone the person to death. You must prove.
Yeah.
And the people, just as Yakub said, must be coming from different angles, not plan, not that all of you sit down here, you come and they'll soon come.
So is promiscuity allowed, therefore?
No.
It's just that
It's not allowed.
I think what
wrongful
religion does-
acquisition.
But the miscarriage of justice,
Yeah.
Yes, I
because
get
of
that.
the grievousness of the
I
consequence.
get that, but a man who
It's such that-
thinks well and plans it
So,
well, it's
for
in social media
instance,
days, you cover your tracks.
This is
you
how
can do multiple
so
now.
For instance, now, in the modern days now, I'm a woman who thinks, my husband is cheating on me. I put a camera in my room. I know he's doing it. I wait for the evidence. I take that evidence to court. I have proven it. I must be able to prove it before I say, you put him in somewhere
Gotcha,
and stone
because,
him.
okay.
You must do it. Because that one is, you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So people get away with it. Some people will just carefully go to a hotel and come out. Even if they are shouting in the hotel, it's what streets call ringtone. You are hearing noise. You are hearing noise. You must prove that you saw. And when four of you are saying it, you take the oath. To establish that whatever consequence this person is suffering for is on your head. So it's a deeper thing and the evidence in Islamic law like that.
Okay, we're going to be wrapping up very
I
soon.
wanted to answer something Tope said before Morale.
I wanted to answer something where Nima and Tope were saying, Tope was saying we should leave everything open, and Nima was saying, yes, that other woman outside should actually have some benefits or compensation. And I was trying to determine what percentage of benefits, what percentage of compensation will we be talking about here. And, and I want to ask us truthfully, especially those of us that say we're Christian wives, got married in church with our one man, one husband. This is a question that's asked of women. Would you like your husband, side chick, to be known to you? Or to be brought into the house? Or would you prefer that, see, bros, I know what you're doing, but do it discreetly? If you're and many women always say they would prefer the discreet one. So if you're the one that says, do it discreetly, why are you saying that they should give law and give benefits and give...
So let me answer her.
Yeah.
The discretion we're talking about is that when you are discreet
me.
about it, right?
Yeah.
You're not embarrassing me. Now, if anything happens, maybe you pass on or maybe something happens, your will should be able to recognize her. So, okay, because she was part of my life, do something. Whatever she's getting doesn't affect what I'm getting.
So
You know discretion.
let's say that he slumped and
So
died,
let me be sure.
Exactly.
and he did not put it in a paper.
You not put in writing.
The law now
Law
says
giving.
that when this woman appears and says,
I
have to
I
trigger.
was with him so period.
Yes.
In that
And you
period
have
of
DNA
time,
to prove it.
No, I spent 15 years aborting 4 pregnancies to keep this discreet. I didn't get anything. I'm saying it happens.
That's a real issue.
I kept his home together for him. I took care of the other room business for his wife because she couldn't meet it up.
Yes.
I lost a part of my life. The law can
Serving him.
Contributed to his business. We have people like that.
That you can even show with
Yeah.
advancement. If you can show that, okay, when his business suffered a certain setback, he needed 20 million.
Yeah.
I advanced it. This was the transfer.
Sometimes it's not, let's just add this.
You
Sometimes
know,
it's not just money.
we didn't
It's
put it
also
in paper.
influence. The fact that
Yes.
it's a certain sort of
Like
person.
an
Yes.
case.
I have contacts.
So I had
that helped
one
him.
What
I
percentage
I
should
did
that
that.
person get?
And
So the court to determine
even
that.
in England, it's an interesting read when you see the processes, they will now bring in what they call secret trust of a child, a woman who existed somewhere. The man will do the trust and say, of my estate, once anything happens, she gets a certain percentage.
So
and it's
It's
not
the man
she
that
will.
would, yes, discretion.
So we don't want discreet.
So
We want
they
everything.
have been doing discretion since Queen of all those England. Children we don't know have been covered, you know, and there is interesting to read. So we can start to allow.
Oh, now you
stop
don't
shaming
adopt
our
their
own.
law?
No,
No,
we're
no.
not adopting their law. We shame
Copyright.
our own here.
Touche.
You know, we don't.
Copyright.
Nobody talks about that. When we come, we stick to the Will and Marriage Act part and say no, shameless woman. But the woman who gave up, whose family said, if you continue seeing this man, we will disown you. She took that risk. She was disowned. She existed
So she'll be
20 years,
compensated.
15 years, and they'll tell her, you've wasted all your life.
Do you know
go
what
and shame and die.
So
Another conversation of what
another
marriage you
interesting.
actually
Yes. So
Because
so
it
I
has
hear
changed
you
the
and I'm
whole-
trying to understand and I'm trying to like have this
kill
conversation.
me.
But really where I stand really is that we must, if we're committed to one another, we should be truly committed to one another. And I'm a proponent of one man, one
Monogamy.
wife. I'm a proponent of monogamy.
too.
I'm a proponent of discipline. I'm a proponent of
Integrity.
Like if I'm not interested anymore, like if my heart is not with you, then I will take my heart and myself away.
Amen.
You know, and that is what I push for. That's what I believe, and I believe in that commitment to remain the same. However, I believe that if any woman finds herself as the other woman, you should be smart enough to ensure that there is a proper document protecting your interest long term. There are many women that have found themselves, they're not married, and they are in love with another person who is married, who has a family, and they are willing to be the other woman outside and be discreet. But ensure that you are wise enough
How
to
do you ask
get
for the
something.
documents?
Exactly.
No, but
The woman that is inside that is asking that her husband change
No,
our account
no,
number,
Nima, let
our
me-
account name
No,
to
no, no,
reflect
no.
my name.
No,
The
it's
other
not
person
that.
say,
It's
"No,
not that
kill
one.
me."
There's someone that I
Let
know.
me
There's
let
someone-
me
let-
land.
there's somebody-
You are
somebody
in a
has
relationship. Somebody has put you, rented a house for you on the island and is
Put
visiting
it
you
in your
four
name.
times in a week. You tell the person, but what would happen to me?
So
I
that
can
house
never
should
get
be
married.
converted to yours. You should buy you a
Yes.
house,
Yes.
get a vehicle.
Have that conversation.
What if I'm a man
How's
that
the
say I have
bond,
a
oh?
side chick, but I cannot afford to buy you a house?
Do you think this is
So,
material things?
Economic reality
my
you
own
have
is
to- you have to
how many-
consider.
How many of the people who are outside can now are now allowed to come and say, hey, I was a side chick, I was a side chick, I was a side chick. What are we
So
opening
the
our
only
doors
person
to?
that can help
Do you
you,
understand what I'm trying
if you
to
are
say?
a side chick, the only person that can help you is the person that has made you a side chick. That person must protect you.
What
And if
if
you
you're
cannot
a
get
side
protected,
chick?
if you can't be
The side
protected,
cock.
then
The
step
side
out
cock.
of that relationship.
What if you're a side chick to more than one person?
That's wrong
another
now.
matter.
So which
That's
one?
wrong.
We're opening it. This thing is
No,
just
Mariam.
on
What if
have
what if your psychism is just for financial? Because
Exactly, I
yeah,
don't
you're the one that has
want
the
that.
money.
You are talking
You don't
about
need anything from people. All you need is just come
I'm
and do.
talking about decent women.
Who found
I have
themselves?
met decent women who's that
We're talking
this is
about
their
women
lives.
in general.
You are talking prostitutes. The women who have different.
Yeah.
The women who love the men.
Yeah.
Who says, okay, I know someone who was about to marry somebody of a different tribe, and his mother insisted, you can date that girl from the east, but you first must marry from our tribe here. To fulfill that, the girl agreed when university, and he married the one the mother wanted. I want to enter house. From the one she came, she's always saying it. Keep that room open. We found it outrageous for my second, in case she's coming. Because she was aware of the real person who
Well,
owned that
well.
heart before she came in. So
That's the woman.
So she faced her work. Born children, do the namings, face her work. Born children, do the naming.
Yeah, right.
That one outside, after about 9 years, finally had
Human
one
woman.
child. But you know, when she came, she never really felt included. They took care of it. And women like that who live their entire lives like that.
Okay, let me tell
that's-
you that
we know
story.
really story.
I understand that story, but that story is idealized. No, it's not true.
Ah.
Because we are not taking into cognizance all the traumatic
Emotional
experience that
breakdown, yeah.
woman is going through.
Which one?
Now,
The one
both
inside
of them.
there?
The one in there. Both of them. Now,
No,
talking,
the one that
you were
suffered trauma
saying,
is
you said
outside.
something that the law is to recognize decent women. The law will now have to determine who is decent,
Decent.
and who is not decent, whose intention.
How do
who
you
is
define
not-
decency?
You
Do
you know what the law
the
determines?
How do you
reason why,
define
the
decency?
reason even why we have this marriage thing,
Yes.
you go to registry thing, is because of these different layers. We
I
cannot
agree with
all be squabbling.
Rough fights.
And that is why we must have this. And then the woman in the house can have a say. She can
Yes.
open the and
Law,
have a
let
right.
us marry
But
for.
then now if we now open it, there's no
Give
need for any
rights
law
to
now.
the
There's no
people
need
for.
for marriage.
But-
sef.
But
There's no need
the
for
man-
marriage certificate
the
to
man's
4.
desire is
Just
sometimes
go-
insatiable. 4 sometimes not
Give
enough.
marriage certificate to 25.
Why?
You're saying until
Don't-
we put it in paper, and the man is not with just with one person. He's with 25 other
Do
women.
they really need? Why does a man
And you're
need
saying
more
that
than
you
one?
must bring a document, a marriage act signed. I'm saying it doesn't always work like that. There are women
I'm
who are
saying-
constantly waiting till the death of the man
I'm
or
saying the
themselves.
Marriage
That
Act,
they get the
the Marriage
recognition.
Act, I believe the Marriage Act was introduced to protect
Not
marriage
for our people.
for women in marriage.
To produce-
because
to
here
protect them
you
in
are,
England.
you have committed, you have given your
Yes.
all, you're in a marriage, and then this man is allowed
Yeah.
to go and have all sorts of. Then the day of reckoning comes, then we say,
Okay,
we are men.
social
oh,
media guys,
we are not
let's have a few
Camila.
comments on
So
social-
to
we have
say
to
this
go.
woman That even because
See
you're
how
not
long
married,
Camila
Yeah.
this law will allow you have some.
Let's take
benefits
about
and
2 or 3
compensation.
before
how
we
long
have,
Camila
we have to
waited.
run. We have to
Camila
run.
still got
Diana.
something. They've changed the law.
Then,
They accepted Camila.
Let's take social media comments and
Sorry,
run off,
we dey
please.
shame for you, no vex.
Let's take 2 or 3 and we run off.
Osholale says, this can't work. I think Bangladesh needs to invest in sociology.
It's not
and learn
Bangladesh.
so much from the functionalism school of thought. If this includes hotel, its core services, some such would come with a Cobra effect like rape. The country which is overpopulated and with low per capita income, no, it cannot work.
Neither.
Really, Kismafe says, we live in a society where if you dare to mention your intention to leave your cheating partner, people would come at you like hurricane. Please tell me how such society would want a penal code to sexual relations
Okay.
outside marriage.
We have to wrap
There are
up.
plenty,
But,
Sha.
but it's,
There's so many.
There's so many.
Harry Kwam Oladimeji says the law will lead to a national protest because it's going to turn family members against each other, likewise friends, so everyone will be watching each other.
we have to wrap up. It's really tough on how to conclude on this. But the truth is, you know, what I see is that we need a review of our laws. And just like Mariam said, rightfully, our current law is protecting that relationship, that man-woman relationship that is biblical, that's also recognized by the Quran, you know, man-woman relationship. However, you know, we're now seeing a lot of other instances of other types of relationships. We're seeing how does the law recognize these other relationships without affecting the real one, the original man-woman relationship. These are still conversations we are ongoing, but we know that the Indonesian one is not really really possible or achievable in our own side, in our own climate, but we can somewhat modify it in different ways to ensure that every human being who is an adult and makes adult decisions is protected by the law of the land. That's all we can take on this show. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.